learning to trust yourself when you've been programmed by your parents, by your teachers, by everybody in the world. When you step out into the world as an adult and then you go into business, business is one of the biggest personal growth opportunities and schools you can ever attend. And so when it comes to decision making and growing our business, who we are authentically.
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Victoria. Victoria, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Happy to be here, Michelle. I'm looking forward to our conversation. I love conversations.
Nice. So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
So I'm Victoria Lynne Hannu. My company is Heart and Soul CEO, and I bring the left brain business side to creative entrepreneurs, especially those in fashion. So I merge my passions of business, personal development, and fashion as I help my creative entrepreneurs.
Wow, you got like the Venn diagram going on there.
I do. I didn't realize it until it was like merging in my passion of fashion. I kind of kept it off to the side for a long time. However, it's part of where my creativity is. So I'm really left-brained and really right-brained, and I integrate them both. So I might as well show that side too.
Right. I love that. And I'm starting to notice that people are starting to show off kind of their Renaissance-like personalities of, you know, the sometimes far left brain, far right brain. And I think it's absolutely fascinating. So give me kind of the background. How'd you get into fashion? How'd you get into business? How did that all transpire? What happened?
Well, fashion is one of those things. So my passion of fashion started like when I was 6 years old, right? And it's always been one of those things, while I've been in the business world, it's kind of been in my back pocket. You know, it's something I do. It's been brought on like as a hobby, but I'm a master seamstress. So I drew my first design when I was 6 inside of the Arabian Nights Tales book. Inside, you know, when the books, they all have those blank covers inside. Well, I drew my first design there. I won a sewing competition when I was in 14, 15 years old. And so it's just, and I have a certificate in fashion merchandising from when I was in my 20s. And I modeled. And so there was all sorts of different things. And it's like, the way I liken it is I've been on this pond, walking around this pond, dipping my foot in, taking it out, dipping it in, taking it out, dipping it in, taking it out. So that's the fashion side of it. And I just realized I've got to merge all my passions together that are really my core passions, because that's how I can bring myself to my clients the best. And business came about, well, I have a degree in business and quantitative analysis, actually, and business management. So that was my bachelor's degree. And so for getting that, I spent my whole time over there. And then I started merging and morphing things together as I worked in corporate and before I started my own business. And then, you know, I found coaching and I added that to my repertoire before I came out. And while I was doing that, personal development was my collection. I would, you know, all this personal growth books and spiritual books, all this stuff I would obtain. So then when I started in business, merged those two together, my hobby became, you know, it became a tax deduction.
As it should.
Right?
Yes. I can't tell you how often I've been trying to tell people to do that. And it's like, it's brilliant. It works. Trust me.
Well, you know, it's part of professional development in business is your books, what you read. And I mean, I love reading personal development books. I love reading biographies. I love being inspired, and it helps me help my clients.
I love it. So now when you're working with clients, let's start with this. What is your favorite part of what you do with your clients?
The favorite part of what I do with my clients is helping them to really tap into what's authentic in them and learning to trust themselves. because I don't know about you, but learning to trust yourself when you've been programmed by your parents, by your teachers, by everybody in the world, when you step out into the world as an adult and then you go into business. Business is one of the biggest personal growth opportunities and schools you can ever attend. And so when it comes to decision making and growing our business, who we are authentically and trusting ourselves is like the most important thing we can do.
Absolutely. And I think there's this dichotomy that we have. We're taught, oh, if I just know what the best practices are, I'll be successful in business. And we couldn't do that, and doesn't always work because we're missing that authentic side, and people can see it. They're just kind of confused, and they're like, oh, I don't know. When you figure that out, let me know. Figure what out? I don't know. But when you figure it out, let me know. So how do you help them to identify that that's the thing that's missing?
Well, here's an example. One of the stories that I have is one of my clients. She was working with a marketing branding person. And this marketing branding person kept telling her she didn't know what she knew, and kept, every time my client would talk to this person, they would say, no, that's not going to work. This isn't going to work. And kept trying to have her go down a path that wasn't authentic to her. And I mean, it was a drama situation. So drama is like one of my it is like my genius. So getting them through the chaos and the drama and those pieces, and working with my clients as they're working out the pieces of their business that don't work for them. They all have something that's working, but I have that left brain systems, strategy, analytical, and I also have the expertise in pulling apart the web of drama and helping them to go through. And she said that for last year, that was one of her biggest successes, was coming out the other side of that, knowing that she can trust herself and that she made the right decision, and how she's going forward this year in business is just amazing. I just love, it's like this trajectory is like whoosh.
Nice. I love it. And I think too that the artists tend to gravitate around the drama more, and they're just used to it. It's like, oh, that's life. That's the way it's supposed to be. And then you come along and it's like, oh, I don't have to live with that. This is awesome.
Exactly. Because when you're creative, you're also extremely empathetic. You might have a little bit of ADHD. I know I do a little tiny bit. I don't have a lot, but my journey over time has been to integrate both of those. Right. And so taking that out of the box thinking, that non-linear thinking that creatives have, and helping them to bring it in so that they can stay on track and move where they're going to go, is just phenomenal, to get them on track and go, oh, I can do this. I can have a plan, and it doesn't go away from my creative freedom. And that's the whole thing.
Well, and I would think that that's probably one of the bigger concerns too, is if they handle this thing called time management and finances, and that their fear is that they're going to lose their creativity.
Well, it really is. And sometimes it's really just saying, okay, for example, when it comes to understanding numbers in the finances, which is a really good one. All right. There's this tendency to avoid the numbers, especially when you're creative, because going into that, the analytical, I'd say your books, your accounting is probably the most left brain thing in business that you can do, right? That's at the far left. Well, they think they have to know it, they have to do it, and they just need to know how to understand it. They don't have to do it. They have to know enough to manage it and to help them support them. Years ago, I had a yoga teacher who was also a dance teacher. And she was talking about, how dance is so free, right? and we get to move however we want to, but the best dance starts with structure. And it's a framework from which you can create. And so that's how I work. I help my clients have a framework that is for them so that they can really step out and create.
Nice. Well, and you made an interesting comment. It's that underlying scope of, I guess you nailed it. It was the framework of, if I can, that's what I was going to ask you, is how do you know the difference between knowing enough to be dangerous and knowing enough to manage? Or is there a difference?
Well, back in the day when internet was really coming out into the public, right? There were, Flash, bringing pictures across the web. My husband's been a web designer and done internal for his companies as well as external since the 80s, before it was even live for the rest of us, right?
Right.
And one of the things he said that I always remember is just because you can doesn't mean you should.
There you go.
And
love that.
That's that place of, is this something that I can do? Yes. Is it something that I should be doing? No. Then there's your answer, right? It's about being self-reflective, actually, because you can put your hands into things that you really shouldn't have any business doing.
Yes. And I've often told people that unless tech is your occupation, you shouldn't be doing your own tech. And if tech is your occupation, you should hire somebody to do it for you anyway. You still shouldn't be doing it. So, and I'm pretty sure the same thing happens with the numbers and a whole lot of other things.
Well, it does. I see so many people starting out their business and they do their own accounting, but they do it by keeping receipts in a box.
Shoe boxes.
And then they have to put it all in a spreadsheet to give to their CPA. Or, those kind of things. And they don't have an understanding of what they really need to do and how to organize it. It's always important to have, as a business owner, unless you've got a background in accounting, is have somebody else do your books. But you've got to understand the part that they need to understand is, what do they need to know from their books? And how to look at it to see what they know. So how do they structure it from their business view? What it's going to look like? What do they want to know that's going to help them? And I help them with that too.
Nice. Yes, I know a lot of artists who get hives from looking at a spreadsheet, and it's just, so they'd rather be in a hornet's nest than they would be looking at a spreadsheet.
Right. That's when graphs come out. That's when pie charts.
There you go.
It's art. Pie chart is art.
But I love that. Thank God that Excel has charts now. You just convert it and we're good. We're good.
Right. It makes it nice. Even Quicken and QuickBooks, they all have the pie charts that you can use. Even CRM systems now have pie charts, because some people are visual, and especially creative people are, whether you're an artist, a designer, a photographer. When you're that creative, you're visual a lot. And if you have that, that one you just talked about looking at a spreadsheet. Well, when you're looking at the spreadsheet and that's going on, there's something inside there that's going on. And that's where I go to.
Nice.
So
well, I think you just kind of resolved a lot of people's PTSD from grade 4 math class. This is so much easier. But I know they're still going to want to get a hold of you. So other than having hives when they look at spreadsheets, what kind of problems or stumbling blocks might somebody be having and thinking, oh my God, Victoria, I need you so badly?
Okay, well, one of them is I have my business, and then I have all this crap going on in my life. I've got drama, right? I've got kids, teenagers that are driving me nuts, or I have, I'm dating this guy or married to this guy and it's not working. And the thing is how we do anything is how we do everything. And so drama in our personal lives impacts our business.
Absolutely.
You can't We're not silos. And anybody that says they compartmentalize it is lying.
Right. Anybody who knows that word? It's like, oh, that's great. So you've learned how to push people off and say, oh no, I compartmentalize. I'm all good. It's like, no, that's a red flag. It just means you're not.
So I help them to really navigate their part of it and help them with that and put in personal structures and boundaries. We do that in business too, because what I've seen with clients is that what's happening in their personal life is also happening with their team. And so it's really a dance. I really customize what I do. I have a framework that I work within, and it's really about helping them to reimagine, because it's how we see things. It's our experience. You know, everything can be happening outside of us, but it's how we interpret it that negatively or positively impacts us. And so
the empowerment to be able to get over it, so to speak, like not get over it and hey, you have an issue, get over it, but to actually like climb over the issue and conquer it and understand how you are in control and that you're not a victim to your circumstances, even though that may be the dominating feeling right now.
Exactly. So it's helping to move, you know, I help them to move through that. Nice. And also tap into who they are innately. So I utilize human design and some other custom processes and some other science things that I do with my clients to really help them understand who they are, who they're designed to be, who they are authentically. And we go into there, and then they can stand in a place of power from that when they're dealing with everybody. And it's not linear, it's rather circular and all over the place. And then we also put structures in place for them, personal structures, and identify the structures that need to go in their business. I am not the person that helps them implement their systems or design their systems. I am the person that helps them identify what structures they need, and depending on the size of their company, what kind of communication structure, so they don't have just silos.
Nice.
And then we also evolve, because we're always, as human beings, we're becoming more. We're always evolving. And that's basically what I do with my clients and how they come out it's just amazing. I just love watching them grow and expand and blossom.
Nice. Well, in a moment, I'm going to ask you for, I guess, another Cinderella story of one of your clients. And when we do that, before we do that, we're going to pause.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
So I am super excited to hear about a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
Well, so I have this one client who came to me, and she was doing social media, right? And she had a business partner, and she was making less than 6 figures. Her dad was helping her with her rent and all of those kind of things. And so when we started working, a couple of things that really worked is we worked through the structures and the chaos that was going on in her head and with relationships and all of these things. So with her, I was working with her on her business, on her soulmates. And one of the key things, I have this process, this assessment I do called the Lotus of Life assessment that I developed. And in the process, she was looking at that, and she didn't realize how important the spiritual life was for her, but it wasn't part of what she'd been thinking about. So as we structured things around, by the end of the year, so this is about 9 months, 6 to 9 months later, she went from under 5 figures to 6 figures, in the year. And so she was doing really, really well that way. But the kicker, is she also met her soulmate at the time. And her husband at the time. And the thing is about soulmates, we come together and we go apart sometimes. It's not a till death do us part always. And they have since parted. However, just being part of her journey and watching her grow has been phenomenal.
Nice. I love it. That is awesome. Well, and it's fun for me to watch people like you that have the capacity to be able to look at the linear, the concrete, the tactical, the strategy, and the ethereal of, what do you bring in, what's personality, all that fun stuff that's coming in. Talk to me a little bit more about your Lotus theory and how that works for people that are listening to be able to jump in on that.
Okay, so this Lotus assessment is one where we use visual, and actually I channeled it in. One of my coaches gave me a assignment back in the day, because there's books out there, they talk about the wheel of life, and you fill in the wheel of life and look at how bumpy it is and this kind of thing. And that was part of my coach's training as well. And it's like, yeah, but it's okay. And everybody does this, and it doesn't cover everything and all this. So I went one day to a coffee shop, and I'm sitting there with my sketch pad. Being a creative, I always have my sketch pad. See, I have a sketch pad. As a creative.
And colored pens.
Yeah, I have colored pens, I have colored pencils, I have my sketch pad. I don't write in straight lines all the time, that kind of thing. So I go and I sit down and I start sketching, and out came the Lotus of Life. It's part of my logo. That Lotus of Life that I sketched, I brought it home, and my husband translated it into digital for me. And I use the assessment, and he put the the drawing part of the assessment tool together. I have the questions, and it's designed to tap into your subconscious and bring that into a quantitative. So it merges the left and the right brain. And then we can look at it, because of the way it's designed. It shows you, whereas a flower, you would be dead if you didn't all those pieces there.
Right. Well, and I think it's funny because on this kind of metaphor, if you will, if we were flowers, we would be perfectly happy being a rose, being a lily, being a whatever it is we are. And as human beings, we're always like, oh God, why am I not a thorn? Oh God, why am I not a cactus? We're like all ticked off because we're not something else. And being able to just understand that, hey, this is part of who you are. And those are actually phenomenal strengths.
Exactly. And one of the things about the assessment is it's really insightful to where you put your focus.
Nice.
And where you might want to put your focus. So I use that with them to help create where they want to go. But the interesting thing, did you know the lotus flower comes out of manure and the muck and the yuck is where it grows. So out of drama, out of chaos, out of struggle comes this beautiful entrepreneur, this beautiful being that can be in their creative freedom, yet have the structure that lets them do that.
Absolutely. And I really, my fantasy is that one day people will understand that is that almost all plants grow better with manure. And when we understand that it's the issues that we don't want to have. It's the circumstances that we wish we weren't going through that create the character that allows us to do things. And it was like, I was explaining this to somebody the other day, when it's those uncomfortable moments that we have the privilege of going through, so that we have the empathy. And because we're smart, because we're intelligent, because we had the good life before that, we can see opportunities and solutions that other people can't see. So we can see how to help them get through that, whether that's building software or a business or a coaching or a whatever our solution is for that, that we can make it easier for other people to go through. So I'm loving the metaphor.
Exactly. It really is. We go through so many different things in life, and it's a layer. It's layers of coming to know yourself. It's, I have, you mentioned time management earlier, and I really help my clients with that. And I call it time wisdom mastery. Another word I use for it is guilt-free time structures, because it's one of those things that we make up what it's supposed to be, or based on what other people do. And when it came to task management and everything, I'm such a nonlinear thinker. I have so many ideas. Okay, most entrepreneurs do.
Hey, if Einstein can say that theory of relativity is that when you're kissing a pretty girl and time stands still, whereas when you have your hand on a hot stove, a minute can last an hour. If Einstein came up with E equals mc squared, can understand the relationship between, romance and pressure, then we can certainly bring those two ideas together in a perfect world. Understanding how time is very much a personal thing.
It is. And I actually came up with a system and a process, of course, because I have that side of my brain. So
Right.
My creative and the process merges together, right? So I came up with a process that actually helps creatives really create a really easy time structure and process for themselves that they will follow, and that inspires them and that helps them make decisions.
I know our listeners are going to want more from you. So how do they start that journey with you?
Well, they can connect with me on LinkedIn. They can connect with me on Facebook or Instagram, and go to my website. I actually have a workshop coming up in April on time planning. It's called Anchor Your Vision, Elevate Your Reality. And so it will be open for registration soon. But yeah, connect with me, reach out to me. There's a contact form, or email me at victoria@heartandsoulceo.com.
I love it. So of course, we don't know when you're listening to this, but we do know that the links are in the show notes. So scroll down and click on the links to find Victoria, and we are sure that you'll be able to connect with her there. Open up in a new browser, because we're not done yet. So Victoria, I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know that you were especially kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
Well, I started exploring it when I was in my 20s, and then I empty nested with my first two kids and decided that was time. That was time. I'm the first entrepreneur in my family. So that's a whole other journey and a whole other conversation, right? Being the first, at least in the generations. My great grandmother, though, which is where I get my love of fashion, was a dressmaker, and she would design the clothes for the people she made them for. So back in the day, long back in the days. And fun. So she's the closest to an entrepreneur in my family. However, my family, especially on my mom's side, was eccentric. So I got all of it. So I have the right brain, the left brain, which allows me to do business and to help my clients do business, because I've had to learn how to build a business, being a creative as well as being a business person. So my life's journey has been integrating.
Right. And and from that experience brings solutions and opportunities. I love it.
Absolutely. Nobody needs to go through what I've gone through. Been there, done that. Happy to help you not do it.
You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
If you're struggling with your business and you're creative, just reach out to me. We'll have a conversation. It's no pressure. I'm happy to talk and see where you're at and help you out.
I love
And
it.
on my website, heartandsoulceo.com, there's a link you can click on to schedule a strategy session with me. Totally complimentary. Would love to talk to you.
Awesome. Thank
One
you.
other thing as well is the
Okay.
anchor your vision, elevate your reality. Well, I said, because we're before April in our conversation, it's 4 times a year. January, April, July, and October. So year round.
Excellent. So peeps, again, scroll down into the show notes, click on the links, and you will find her, I assure you. Awesome. Thank you, Victoria, for your time. I appreciate it, and I know how valuable it is.
Thank you, Michelle. It's been a pleasure, and love seeing you every time I do.
So, peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.